Welcome to part 4 of this 5-part Minelab Manticore new user guide series. Now in part 4 we're going to be talking all about tones and tone breaks and how you can get the most out of this fantastic Manticore audio. So let's get started. The tones are normally generated by the target ID, so each target ID can correspond to a tonal range. So let's have a deep dive into the tones and have a talk about how we can manipulate these. Let's start off by one tone. Well, that's self-explanatory. That is just one single tone. There's no variation in the tone at all, no matter what conductivity the target is. Two-tone. Now we've got two separate tones, and these are what I call keyframes. Now these keyframes are going to come into play quite a lot in this particular video. Keyframes are probably the hardest thing to learn on the Manticore because the keyframes are something we've not really seen on a metal detector before in this sort of sense. So keyframes are a start point and an end point. They're reference points. Let's say these two washers are keyframes. Your start point, your end point. So if you've got a two-tone program, you've got two keyframes on one tone, two keyframes on the other, and you can adjust them in, out, up and down. So they're really your starting and end points. That's all it is. And once you sort of get your head around that, it all becomes quite simple. So your keyframes are your start point and end point of said tones. Two tones, we've got two sets of keyframes, and you'll see in a minute 5 tones, we've got 5 different sets of keyframes. Now these can be manipulated once selected. You can tell what once selected, it turns red. So if we press that, we've got starting point at 0, tone is 14. Now if we wanted to raise that 14 to a higher tone, you just do it like so. So now what have we got? We've gone back to a single tone program, haven't we? So that's how to manipulate the tone. So if we go back and we highlighted something else, the volume. Now we've highlighted the target volume, so if we hit the pencil icon we can lower that target volume. I don't know why you'd want to do it, but you may want to. So let's go one more, and we've now hit that end keyframe. So how can we manipulate this end keyframe? We've already seen that this one goes up and down. Let's try the pencil icon, and that's telling us it's 50. So that tone break there is 50. So every target that generates a target ID of 0 to 50 will fall within this band. 39, 40. Nice solid sound there, look. Tiny little coin, I think it's probably a hammered coin. Yeah, so, well, it looks like a nice little hammered coin.
Not sure, a little eddy or something, little pennies, clean it up a bit. Yeah, there's a king's head coming up. Guess it's a little heady, a little long cross.
Yeah, long cross, wow.
Hammers are hammered. A little bit nibbled, actually it's not a bad little portrait on it.
Let's say we wanted a tone break of 35. So now every target from 0 to 35 will give that said tone. Everything after would give that tone. So now we're back into the detect screen. So let's go one more. 5-tone, just like the 2-tone, but now we've got 5 sets of keyframes. So we can manipulate these keyframes by scrolling along until they highlight red. Hit the pencil icon to adjust them. Let's go one more. Now we've got 1 regional tone. So how does that differ from 1 tone? Well, we'll come to that in a second. Let's go to 2 regions, all tones, because I think that will be a better example. So we've got 2 tones and 2 region all tones. But as you notice there, we've got different tones. We've got 2 tones and 2-tone all tones. So what's the difference? And that's mainly because the keyframes work in different ways. On your standard 2 tones, you've got the 2 keyframes for 1 tone, 2 keyframes for the other tone, but your only adjustment is in, out, up and down. Whereas you've got the same amount of keyframes on the 2-tone all tone, but they're adjustable at an angle. So you can go in, out, up, down, but you've also got a hinge on it. So you can put it into full tones if you want. So we're going back into the 5 regional tones. Again, we've got the 5 sets of keyframes all on a hinge now. And we're back to our 1 tone. So that really is quite simple once you understand keyframes. Personally, I like to use the 2 region all tones and make my own custom program. If you're interested in my hybrid 2-tone program, I'll put a thumbnail above so you can search it out on my extensive Minelab playlist. Will choosing the wrong tone profile lose you targets? Well, here's my thoughts. All tone profiles will register on all targets providing you've got them accepted within your discrimination range. But choosing the right tone profile is a personal preference. If you're comfortable with a tone profile, then you're going to be less mentally tired and you're going to be on your game, shall we say. So just make sure you've got the right tone profile for you on the day and your desired target. So I really guess the top tip here is find a tone that suits you and stick with it. And there's no reason why you can't allocate your desired tones to every single factory program within this Manticore. Okay, that was a lot to take in, I get it. Well, if metal detecting affects your short-term memory loss, can you imagine what metal detecting would do? I'll leave you with that one. Well done guys, that's part 4 dealt with. Now in part 5 we're going to be visiting the ferrous bars and custom discrimination settings, and we'll also be talking again about those keyframes. So there's no need to wait, it's coming up right now on your end screen.